Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and you are watching me play Factorio. I went ahead and paved the mall. Got all the shops paved. It looks a lot nicer now, I think. As well as went through and paved the rest of the walkways. Well, some of the walkways. Oh, the lights are coming on. I like the lights in the mall. I think that's nice. All right, I wish they'd all come on at the same time. We could circuit that. We may look at doing that later. Okay, so yeah, I got all the paths done as well. I just said, okay, let's just go ahead and do it. We're low on stone. We don't have a lot of stone left. 4.9K. That is not a lot. However, we do have a whole bunch on the line, and we've already got some railroad tracks, things like that, already built. So I'm not overly concerned about it. But what I am concerned about is the fact that our light oil is backed up, so we can't make any more petroleum. Luckily, we just finished advanced oil processing. So I'm gonna do the top left research thing, and we're gonna get these guys set over to advanced oil processing. This gives us a little more light oil and a little more petroleum at the cost of basically less heavy oil as well as water. All right, those water hookups were on the correct side. Thank you for the memory devices. And just to make sure they are all plugged in, yes, they're all in the right spot. That was an issue in the last series. But yeah, no, everything looks fine here. But we're still backed up with light oil. So let's get some chemical plants out here to get this light oil cracking. We'll start maybe like right here. And there is that. Let's just continue going down the line. Okay, so the ratio here we're going for is 8-1-7. So that's 8 of these, 7 of these that are going to be cracking light oil to petroleum. And then one more chemical plant that is going to be cracking heavy to light. And just kind of thinking about it, I'm not sure that this heavy to light cracker is really going to be seeing a lot of action because lubricant's going so slowly. But I'm sure it will get some use in time. All right, these take light oil on the left, water on the right. So we'll go ahead and get these pipes all situated. Try my best here not to cross the streams. All right, how does that look? I think that works. And you are going to go over here and be the water for that. We're going to need to bring you down. So we'll bring you to about there. I'm going to leave 2 spaces there. We'll do that because I do want to put a pump right here because I want to put a circuit condition on that. We just don't want to send heavy oil to always be cracked. We only want to do that when we have like excess heavy oil. We want to save most of that for lubricant. So we will enable this when heavy oil is greater than 10K. That seems like a good thing. So the heavy oil will back up in this tank. Most of it will be sent to make lubricant, and whenever it backs up far enough, we'll sit here and crack it. All right, let's get these output pipes set up. I usually send these into the main petroleum line. Don't think I'm going to do that this time. And I don't have a good reason why. I mean, I guess it seems like in the last factory, petroleum seemed to get backed up in weird places. So I don't want to do that. I think I would rather just send it this way, and we'll put a pump right here. Not to necessarily move the fluid, but just to make... They act as kind of a one-way valve. So that will help there, except that it needs to be powered, which is kind of a pain. But we can power those and get some lights in. All right, so that'll send petroleum to that line right there. And then for light oil, I think I'm just going to send it up into there. All right, that brought it to life. It's not working, though, because we need water. So let's, I'm going to make another pump. We probably could do it off of that same line, but we're refining off that line. We're barreling off that line. So let's just go ahead and make a new line for it. There we go, and that sounds like it's all coming to life. All right, we're doing some cracking now. We're doing some cracking, we're doing some pumping, and we're doing some fluid barreling again. Excellent. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some turrets down here. There we go. And let's see, do those two overlap? Mostly. Let's just throw one here in the middle, just because. All right. Okay, that should get all that going again. Everything is being barreled again. Excellent. All right, we've got a lot of empty barrels backed up here, so hopefully those will get all barreled out soon. All right, there is a little bit of work I want to continue doing on fluids. There's a situation that I just wanna see if there's anything we can do about. I'm gonna go ahead and cut you guys off, and I'm gonna try to gather up all this fluid that we have on this bus. I want to clear it out because I want to put a little bit of a limit on this, I think. There's a lot of variables that I've been thinking about when it comes to this barreling of fluid setup thing that I'm wanting to do in this series, and it's I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as I had originally hoped. It's not the same as just having pipes, right? It's very different because we have this whole thing with the empty barrels and the process of having to send the empty barrels back and bringing them all over and keeping them balanced and all of those things we don't have to worry about when we just hook up a pipe and let it go. So what I'm thinking about is there is a lot of space in here for barrels to back up and just basically buffer. And I don't want the barrels just sitting here doing nothing when the mall is idle, which is what it is most of the time. So I want to put a way to limit the amount of barrels that we have on this buffer. Optimally, I think what I would want to do is put something here, but I don't think we have a good setup for that. So I think what I'll do is just leave this area right here as a buffer and start working like right here on a system in order to limit the amount of barrels that we actually have buffered on this line. Make it a little bit more reasonable. All right, so I'm going to set up this priority right here to spit out on the right the petroleum barrels. And then that will come right here, and that will merge back onto the line right there. Now, that may seem a little bit silly, but it'll make a little bit of sense here in a second. I'm going to set up a large power pole. Let's do it right here. Actually, let's do it right there. And we'll put another one right about here, because I want to set up a couple of wires on this belt here to help us do that. So let's grab the green wire. Can we run it that far? We can. Excellent. I want to put one right there and one right there. Now this one is going to act like our door. This is going to be the one that actually stops petroleum from going in here. And this one right here is going to be our counter. We are going to set that to read the belt contents and pulse. All right, now let's carry this signal over here. Okay, and we are going to put this into an arithmetic combinator. And I'm going to set that up just like that, I believe. And we're going to set this one up here as a counter. But we're going to count petroleum barrels. We're going to do petroleum plus 0, and we're going to output petroleum. This is pretty much exactly the same idea as we had with our empty barrel counter down there. And when we hook this guy up, it is going to be exactly the same. Well, we hook that guy up, and we hook the output to the input. And that's going to be a counter. It's exactly the same as this one down here. The only difference is instead of reading the pulse signal from the inserter, we're going to be reading the pulse signal from this counter that's going over the transport belt. So as barrels get added into this line segment right here, this counter is going to go up. So we're basically counting the barrels that we have on this line segment. All right, it's a little bit more complex than that down there in that we're actually going to be removing barrels with this inserter. So that's what this second combinator is for. We're going to wire this inserter to this arithmetic combinator. We're not going to have a motor of operation on it. We're just going to read the hand contents and send that as a pulse to this one. We are going to take that and we are going to multiply it by a -1. And then we're going to output that signal. And then we're going to wire that signal to the back of our counter. So what we have here is every time a barrel is put on, that's going to be a plus signal to this counter. Every time it's taken away, we're going to be a negative. So that's basically a counter that's going to count the barrels that are put on and the barrels that are taken off. At least that's the idea. We'll see if that works. All right, so we also, so that's how we keep track, right? That's how we keep track, and we can throw a decider combinator like right here, and we will use red wire for this so we don't mess up the signals here. But we'll send a red wire from this output out to this decider and say, if the petroleum gas barrels are less than 0, let's output a signal we will call P for petroleum out on the system. So right now there's nothing because nothing's been taken away. We actually have nothing. But if it detects that there has been more taken off than added, we're going to send that P signal out. And we can send that on that same green wire. We just need to hook up this output to that. And take this all the way back. And say if P is greater than 0, then we're going to enable that. Wait, no. If P is greater than 0, if we get a P signal on this line to go ahead and enable that. And that'll say, put more barrels on the line. So count the barrels coming in, subtract the barrels coming out. If more have been subtracted than have been added, go ahead and add more, is basically what we're doing right there. Now there's one catch, one more little thing we need to add, and we're going to add that with a constant combinator. And the constant combinator is going to represent how many barrels we want to keep in reserve on this line. So let's say we want, I don't know, let's go like -40. And that will be that. So we will do that, and then we will wire this constant combinator up to that. So it's always going to start at -40. And that gives us our P signal, since the barrels are less than 0. And that should have this guy over here, open in green, and he is. All right, so that's that is a circuit to basically limit the amount of barrels that we actually have on this line. Now that I'm thinking about it, let's not do 40. Let's do even less. Let's do 20. That's how many barrels we want on our buffer line here. All right, that looks good. Okay, let's test this out. To test this out, we'll just hook up the petroleum barrels again and let them run on the line. And we'll just see how it works. Okay, let's throw some lights over here as well. All right, so here come the petroleum barrels. Let's take a look at the signal. It's at -20. And as they get added, it goes down. And, okay, so now it's at 3. Now it's at 3. P is no longer there. We've blocked it off. It's not working. Now 3, because it went a little bit over, because we have the barrels that were on the splitter, that's okay. I can handle that. But as these barrels come around, we're going to see the inserter grab them, and that should be subtracted from the count. 2, 1. And now we're at negative, so we're going to open it up again. And now we're at a stable point again because it stopped grabbing. It let some more barrels on. P is now at 3. So it went through 3 pulses in order to get that back up. All right, and I think that is good. I think that's good. So let's do the same thing, but we're going to do it for lubricant. Let's see. I think we can do like this. Filter lubricant to the left. Yeah, no, that was right. Pick those up. We're gonna have to do like that. You're turning around. And you are going in like that. All right, we should be able to use this counter. This counter right here will work for the lubricant, because lubricant's going to be a separate signal. All we need is a wire coming in and hooking right there. That's going to be our lubricant brake. All right, you're going to need power. Trying to move that power pole over here in a minute. I just want to get that where I can see it. Okay, so you are going to be lubricant +0, and you're going to output lubricant. You are going to be lubricant times a -1, and you are going to send out lubricant. We are going to green wire, green wire, green wire, green wire, and green wire to that inserter, which is going to pull the lubricant barrels off. We are going to not enable disabled. We just want to read the hand contents and pulse. All right, we set that to our lubricant count that we want. Let's do -20. Do the exact same for it. We'll probably have to adjust these a little bit later, and we'll say if the lubricant count is less than 0, we'll output L for lubricant, and we just want 1 pulse. We'll send that out on that line, and then we just need a red signal going from you to you, and 1 going from you to you. And that should give us our negative, you're saying 23. -20. Yeah, okay. There's 2 signals on that line. That makes sense. Those are both the green signals. All right, so that should be all good to go. I think that looks good. All we have to do is come over here and set you to be enabled if L is greater than 0. Do we not have an L signal? Why don't we have an L signal? Less than 0, output L. Oh, are you not? Oh, this isn't hooked up. That's the reason. Oh, I see. You You don't output to the back. You only output to the front. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. All right. So you should be running now, and you are. Let's go and get our transport belt and rehook up the lubricant. Give it a little test for petroleum as well. It's doing little pulses here and there, which is exactly what we'd expect. All right, here comes the lubricant. It's got to go through 2 splitters, so it's going to go quite a bit of ways over. Okay, it's going to go 7 over. That's fine. But it is paused now. We're not using lubricant anywhere, so I'll probably have to just go and remove some of these pipes. I know that's wasteful, but it's for science. That'll cause them to grab some barrels. That pulses that down to -2, and we're back up to 7. Okay, so there's like a definite number, it looks like, that's going to be buffered there. So if we wanted to get that perfect, we would have to offset that number by 7 and that one by 3 to account for the number of barrels that can be in between this stop and this reader, which is caused by these 2 splitters right there. And that makes sense. That makes sense. But that is not the type of perfection I'm going for in this build. I just want these combinators to count the barrels and keep this buffer on this line, as opposed to all of these barrels just being there, used for absolutely nothing. Now we just have this buffer right here, which is going to be good. That means that once these back up, all the rest of them can move on. Saved us on empty barrels. It's probably not giving us that much now that I'm thinking about it, but it's certainly making me feel better. And we got to use some circuit logic for something, and that is always a very good day. Well, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next episode, where I think what we want to do is get started on some robots, because we are researching them. I think we need to make them. We're going to go for an early robot build, and I'm really, really happy about that. All right, well, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.